How would you define purpose and God's will for life as Christians? That's a great question. How would you define God's purpose and will for Christians? This is actually a fairly simple question, and I've said this before, and if you've paid attention, posted it in Instagram comments. We all have this grand plan of what we think God's purpose is for our life. And so we're all like, ooh, what am I supposed to be? Am I supposed to be a world famous rapper? Ooh, am I supposed to be an Instagram model? Ooh, am I supposed to be the president of the United States? Hey, if Trump is president, I could be president. Andrew Yang is running for president. Maybe I could be, God, are you calling me to be president? Right? And we have these like wild, grandiose visions. I'm not saying God can't call you to any of those things. He can call you to be an Instagram influencer, model, YouTuber, whatever, right? But the issue is we are looking for the end result when most of life and anything you're going to be successful in, whether that's marriage, whether that's family, whether that's fitness, is in the process. It's in the process of working through these intangible variables that we all get to deal with on a day-to-day basis. So, how do you know God's will for your life? How do you know what God's dream is for your life? Hello, what God's purpose is for your life, what God's vision is for your life? You first align yourself with living your life God's way. What does that look like? Well, that's an endless pursuit, right? Because we know that we're sinners, we're fallen, we're created in the image of God, but there's this tension that we live in, and that we know we're not perfect. We know society is not perfect. So how do you discover God's will and God's perfect will, God's purpose for your life? You follow God's ways of living. Are you living God's way? The purpose of the Christian is to live their life the way Jesus would have them live their life, to lead their life the way Jesus would have them lead their life. Holistically, in your finances, in your relationships, in your friendships, in your marriage, right? In your local church community, and how you treat people and how you treat non-Christians and how you treat people far from God, is to live your life God's way. And I'm always on a quest to discover more and more about how God would have me do different things in my life. How does God want me to treat people who don't know him? How am I supposed to love people? How am I supposed to lay down my life? What is God's heart for my money? Am I supposed to hoard it all and keep it close, or am I supposed to have an open mentality with money? If you live your life God's way, you will always be in God's will. And through the process of living God's way, you will probably discover the things God has deposited in your heart, things that God has made you passionate about, to drive you to find that purpose. And it's not any single one thing. If you would have asked me this 10 years ago, I would have been like, yeah, I'm going to make it as a rapper and it's going to be lit. And it's like, yeah, like rapping is just a vehicle for me now. I have multiple vehicles. YouTube, I have the vehicle of YouTube. I have the vehicle of merch, live events, all kinds of different vehicles for me to communicate the things that God has placed on my heart. I'm growing more and more fond of fitness and health and all these different things, right? So there's multiple vehicles for me, and it's not one singular thing. And so I think that is the way I would approach it, is to define the Christian's purpose, I would say that it's living your life God's way to bring glory to him, to bring honor to him, and to know him.